revolution will not be televised. They still lies and I've held the pies. Life is not as sweet once I critique. After smelling slice, ingredients in this will make you weak, fatigue, prepare to die. Side effects, indoctrinate, self-hate, lose faith, prepare to fight. Even though you rail, royal air, unique and bred for high. World of many stairs, where love is scarce. Know what them stairs is like. One foot in front of the other, keep on stepping though you scared of heights. Depression, broken mirrors, suicidal, I can share advice. I'm with you in your darkest issues, like a friend to share a light. Yeah, down here you high, up there you fly, I'm trying to share the sight. So we can be prepared and pair the sights. And parasites with knife, prepared to slice. We prepare for flight, a double dare the sky, daring heights. Testimony, I've been tested, homie, let me testify. My life resurrect after I wreck, let me rectify. Lost my self-respect and flawed my specs just to specify. Was feeling special through the lies, specialized.
Seasons changing, people saying how much more must I clarify?
We all make mistakes, release the pain, I'm with you wearing mine. Other side the fence, they turn against you if them cares shine. Sign still then delivered, thus with signature I verify. I see needles and fame, turn people to strangers. And needless to say, we all drugs. Addicted to the highs and the lows of the things we hold close. Just for warmth when the world is so cold. I see many people turn strangers over love, greed, and anger when we judge people's pains and problems. The funny thing about it is everyone got them. In hard times when you got them, who got you? Alright. Shalom, shalom, beloveds. How y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Hope everybody's having a blessed and blissful day, AM, PM, whenever you see this message, right? I'm praying that everybody's doing well, you know what I'm saying? In these times, some people are facing hard times, some people are not, you know what I'm talking about. Pray for those who are facing hard times, you know what I'm talking about, and just make sure that we keep the brothers and sisters covered, you know what I'm saying, because it's so much of a easily to be divided in these days and times as many people press forward towards a division, you know what I'm saying, and the only one that's really able to divide is the Father, you know what I'm talking about, which we already understand, the wheats versus the tares. But one thing about it is, even as the wheats and the tares, the tares were still sold within the wheats, and they were still able to come up, you know what I'm saying, with the wheats. It was only at a certain appointed time whenever those wheats would be, you know what I'm saying, burtled up and separated from, the tares would be burtled up and separated from the wheats, you know what I'm talking about. So this does not mean that we just, I guess, what is that word? I'm looking for that word. Premeditatedly, you know what I'm saying? Thank you. We don't premeditatedly, you know what I'm saying, tear up the wheats or the tares before it is the time, you know what I'm saying? Because the Most High knows it's the time. That's why he allows everything to happen. There are people that can seem like that they are tares, but yet they are not, you know what I'm saying? And so we don't really know fully until, you know what I'm saying, the Most High shows, and then they end up showing themselves to be so, right? Salakia. But aside from that, you know what I'm saying, there are many people that are seeking comfort, you know what I'm talking about. And so the way that we operate with each other in these days and times will prove or disprove, you know what I'm talking about, how the Most High operates in our lives, right? And if we are truly, you know what I'm saying, his children, are truly trying to answer his call upon our lives, you know what I'm saying? Because so many people will try to use the word in the scriptures and stuff like that to boast themselves up or to make themselves seem in a Godhead or whatever, when that is not what's called of the body, you see. That's why I want to speak about this today, you know what I'm saying, no consideration, right? So one thing that stood out to me in reading the scriptures is that as we are, you know what I'm saying, we are supposed to be the bride for the bridegroom. We know that Christ is the bridegroom, you know what I'm saying, and so that he loves us, he loves the church like a wife. And so whenever one of the things that is told to us to be husbandmen to, you know what I'm saying, our spouses and stuff like that, into each other is to be able to have a love thy neighbor, or, you know what I'm saying, love thy wives as, you know what I'm saying, the Mashiach loved the church, right? And so what did that entail? This is one thing where people tend to get lost into the sauce of it, you know what I'm saying? And so they end up denying the actions thereof, right? And just try to live into their own definitions and understanding. So I want to go ahead and go to Philippians first, right? So let me go to Philippians. Give me one moment. Here we go. So I want to go to Philippians. Let's see here. I guess we'll go to Philippians 2, and we will start with 5, right? So it says, let this mind be in you, which is also in Yahushua HaMashiach, Christ Jesus, and who began in the form of Yahweh, of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with Yahweh, with God, right? And so, but made himself of no reputation, and look upon him in the form, and took upon him, Salakia, the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. So first and foremost, this is powerful, because he already knew that that he, you know what I'm saying, was very powerful, right? He knew that the Most High had anointed him, and never did he overexert or you know what I'm saying, excuse me, Salaki, never did he overexert or extend, you know what I'm talking about, his authority on that which was not supposed to. And so as we are to be husbandmen, you know what I'm saying, and to love, you know what I'm saying, our spouses, and love, you know what I'm talking about, our neighbors as Christ loved the church, then this means that we don't exalt ourselves over, knowing that we are great in our own design, being made in his likeness, in his image, you know what I'm saying. However, knowing that we have a form of humility with each other, right? And so with the form of humility, you know what I'm saying, this is why it says that, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men, right? Because we know that man is underneath the Most High, right? And being found in fashion as man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death. Now we know one of the vows that says that through marriage is through sickness and health, and to death do us part, right? So this means that everything within, you know what I'm saying, the ordinance of that jurisdiction, that we're supposed to present ourselves as humble, and present ourselves as open, and being able to submit, able to be able to relinquish, you know what I'm saying, control of situations where we feel like that it's supposed to be us to be in control of situations, but it's not, because there's a hierarchy. There is the Most High that is over the man, and then the man that is over the woman. But if the man does not do what he's supposed to do, the Most High is over the whole thing. This is why they come together in agreement in the covenant, right? And so this is why he adorns the covenant, because they come together, you know what I'm saying, and in love, in the ordinance of what he has already, you know what I'm saying, in his will, of what he has already, you know what I'm saying, made as an order, right? And so being able to procreate, you know what I'm saying, come together and into one body, right, as him being the head over everything. Now this is one thing that people kind of get misconstrued, but let me keep going, right? And became obedient unto death. So the fact that obedient means that even the things that he did not agree with, or the things that did not seem that were ideal for him, he still was obedient unto the death. And so this is proven in scripture whenever we see that he speaks about or that it speaks about in his story in the Mount of Olives whenever he was praying. And so as he was praying, that cup would be passed along, you know what I'm saying, aside from him, that he should not have to bear that cup, you know what I'm saying, of being able to be tried and crucified and everything like that, right? But yet he finally understood that, okay, you know what, if this thy will, let thy will be done, because it's not my will, because it has to be something greater, right, after this. And so this is obedience unto death. So many people will end up wanting to be only obedient to a certain extent in order for them to be able to be exalted, or for them to seem like that they're in the power of winning. Salakia. One of the main things is that knowing that in the failure, and knowing in the times where it does not seem like you're winning, is whenever the Most High is able to do his best work. Because how can a person be able to magnify and show the glory of the Father, right, if they had not been in a situation in order for him to be able to exalt them and bring them through that situation into greatness, to show that he does do the works, right? And so we tend to get lost in translation, because we end up focusing on those things that we should not really be focusing upon, right? And when I say that, I mean it as far as, you know what I'm saying, we can look at other people's struggles, or we'll look at other people's lives, and then these people can actually be for the kingdom. They can stand for the kingdom righteously so, and they could be working on themselves and stuff like that. But because we don't see a certain thing that has happened in their lives, then we feel like that, okay, well, the Most High is not working in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, because if they were really for, you know what I'm saying, Abba Yah, they were really for God, then, you know what I'm saying, miracles would just be happening right then in the motion, or on the moment that we assume and presume that it should happen, right? Not realizing that whenever it came down to Joseph and David and Moses and Abram, these things did not happen overnight. He did not allow the things to happen overnight. The faith that was worked with Abraham happened over years of processing. You know what I'm saying? It didn't happen overnight. If it would have happened overnight, then, you know what I'm saying, he would not have second guessed that he would have the child Isaac, and then, you know what I'm saying, end up trying to go ahead and allow himself to be told by Sarah to go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, be with the midwife, you know what I'm saying, with Hagar, and to be able to have Ishmael. You see? And so this is, if he had the faith, then that would not have happened. But because the faith had to be worked, because he leaned into his own understanding and believing that, well, it might not work. And so through Abraham's story, the main thing was the working of the faith. The building of the faith is the main key point that people tend to miss, right? Is he gave Abraham a promise of him to be the father of all nations, and for him to be able to be something great. In the midst of it, you know what I'm saying, patience in the process and faith would be the main things that would be worked through this. And so sometimes people will tend to be in a certain spot or plateau in their lives, to where, you know what I'm saying, things have worked out for them, but yet there's still workings that needs to be done inside of them. But then they will exalt themselves over other people to make it look like that, okay, well, this person is not really going through this, or the Most High doesn't have his hands on these people's lives, because they are going through the process in their own wilderness, right? And so this is what I'm speaking about, right? So another thing, and it says also that wherefore Yahweh hath highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name. So we see here, let me go back up to 8, where it says, and being found in fashion and man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death of the cross. So even to his own death, you know what I'm saying, he still remained faithful and remained loyal and obedient, right? And so in the midst of that, this is what is required with us as a body, as, you know what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, you know what I'm talking about, as an assembly. One thing is this as well, is that because so many people, I see it so much online where so many people will denounce the church, or the church ain't this and stuff like this. And you know what I'm saying, we know that the enemy will use the church and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, but the enemy will use those things that, you know what I'm talking about, that do not work. I mean, the Most High will use the things that seem to work in the favor of the enemy in order to turn those things around. If it not being the case, then it would not be where it says that though you thought of it used for evil, I turn it around and use it for the good to save everyone alive, right? We also know that all things work to the good of him who loves the Most High. You know what I'm talking about? And so we understand this, then we understand that in the midst of that, that there are us that have been set apart and set into the world for us to be able to provide the change, the proper change, and the proper nourishing of, you know what I'm talking about, how the Most High works. He's using the work through Christ within us. But whenever we do not emulate or walk in the authority that Christ has given us, then we tend to, you know what I'm saying, denounce the power thereof. And so what this means is that we will tend to put ourselves or second guess ourselves, or, you know what I'm saying, end up making a blessing delay, or end up being the delay ourselves in other people's lives and everything, because we feel like that we are the ones to be able to have power over another human being. One thing that's very crazy and very saddening is that there are so many people that will take pride in a group to try to humble other people, you know what I'm saying, when it is not their job to do, and they will fall on the fallacy of, oh, well, I'm doing the work of the Most High, you know what I'm saying, which makes these people Pharisees. You see, it's because they feel like that they're doing. It's the same thing like whenever Saul was you know what I'm saying, crucifying Christians and stuff like that, until he finally came into the understanding and the knowing of and seeing it actually how it really works. And then that's whenever he was changed into a new thing, which he ended up changing into Paul, which is one of the main one of the most you know what I'm saying, powerful people, you know what I'm talking about, in the scriptures, right? And so when we know this and we understand this, then this is the same thing that is within ourselves in our lives, right? In our own journeys and walks. So like I said, one thing that is never been my job is to condemn people. One thing is that I, you know what I'm saying, will be like, okay, well, you know, this is where we're wrong, and consider this, and let's try to, you know what I'm saying. And that is edification, and being able to show people that, you know what I'm saying, that nobody is perfect, but also, you know what I'm saying, that we are to hold each other accountable. The scriptures persist of accountability, you know what I'm talking about, accountability and responsibility. And so because so many people only want a watered down, you know what I'm saying, version of their ideology of scripture that only fits their lifestyle and not the will of the Most High, because some people's lifestyle does not fit the will of the Most High, so they will tend to make excuses and everything like that. So now it tends to lead to people bickering and, you know what I'm saying, debating and battling about different things, but yet they don't even have the right heart posture to be able to do so. So many people will talk about a birthright, you know what I'm saying, but then they will treat their neighbors like crap. Then they will, you know what I'm saying, somebody can end up having a transgression against a said person, you know what I'm talking about, and then they won't even operate in the actions of forgiveness. They will tend to make themselves, you know what I'm talking about, make themselves an excuse, right? And where they say that, you know what I'm saying, oh, well, you know what I'm saying, Abba Yah knows my heart, the Most High knows my heart, right? But we know that in Luke 16 and 15, it says that you are those who justify yourselves before men, but Yahweh knows your hearts, for what is exalted amongst men is an abomination in the sight of the Most High. So people won't read the full thing. They'll just be like, he knows my heart, or they will give the excuse of he's working on me, right? And so one major thing, let me see here, I'm not trying to go put the cart before the horse. One of the major things is this, is that when they say that he's working on me, this does not give you an excuse to be able to denounce the power of godliness of that you have, of righteousness and holiness, right? Just because somebody's done you wrong, then it's like, I'll forgive you on my own time or whatever, right? This is whenever you are being, selfish, because in the midst of that is where the Most High does his works, because it's in the midst of that thing that, you tend to show yourself humble before him. It's an opportunity for you to present yourself humble before him. Though that thing or that person may have wronged you and you feel with all your strength that you want vengeance, vengeance is not yours. Vengeance is of the Lord's. Vengeance is of the Adonai, right? And so when we understand this, then this makes it easier for us to be able to release things. Those things that are working are able to be able to make us stronger in the faith, for us to be able to have faith to release those things and know that he will take charge of those things and situations and handle those things that we so badly want to handle. You know what I'm saying? But because we are based on our own pride and ego in our own, self-righteous ideologies, is whenever we tend to try to place ourselves in a position above our neighbors, unbeknownst, and some of us do it knowingly, right? And so that's how the enemy is able to get in and be able to work us against ourselves, is because then it's like, well, I can forgive a person on our own time, but yet you don't consider yourself whenever, there's a person that you have done certain things to. It could have been a person, whether you cut in front of them at line, they could be having a bad day or whatever, and the world has been treating them like crap. And then, where they needed love and kindness, I'm talking about, you were that person that stepped in and then made that day even that much more worse. You know what I'm talking about? And so, aside from people saying we're saying the word, we're using it. Okay, we're going to go with it. So regardless, is that you've made that situation worse, right? I'm going to say it again. And so where you were called to be able to be in that position and situation in order for you to be able to be encouraging towards that person, which could have brought them closer to the Most High, but yet you have pushed them further away. Now, the person could not know that you were a child of the Most High and just look at everybody the same, but yet there was something that was called for you to be able to do, you know what I'm talking about, in order for you to show up and show out at that appointed time, for you to be able to exalt and show that his glory and that his grace and his mercy and his favor is sufficient, and his love is definitely, a beautiful thing, I'm talking about, and it does exist. And so he uses most people, but you didn't allow yourself to do that, right? Another thing is that so many people will pray to be able to be used, use me, but then you will try to put stipulations and, restrictions on the way that he uses you, not knowing that he will place you in a situation or scenario for you to go through things, to be tried through those fires, in order for you to be usable to reach those people who need to truly be used, or who truly need to be seen, or to be helped through the testimony, to realize that, because we know that people will not listen to people who have never really been through anything. If you've never been through anything, then nobody's really going to listen to you. It's been this way since the streets. It's been this way since history, since, we as a people have gone through many different things. The thing that brings us all together, I'm talking about, is the fact that we have all been tried to a certain extent, that we have went through certain things. And so therefore we tend to have a thing that is called empathy towards each other, and compassion towards one another, because we've shared an experience to some form, or extent. And so therefore we can relate. This is where relatability comes into play at. And so he uses that relatability in order for us to be able to have the ability to be able to ensue his word and his love to everybody else, right? It's just like the devil. And so once we do that, then the testimony, is not for us, but it's for other people. You see that? And so when we understand that, then we see it for what it truly is. But because so many people do not consider or have no consideration, then they will tend to make excuses or try to validate themselves through many different means to exalt themselves and make themselves seem like something, when the true fact is that none of us are anything at all. There is not a person that, you know what I'm saying, that operates in pride that will be willing to be like, you know what, I am nothing at all. And this is because the Most High, well, this is when the Most High is not able to really work within those people, because they have hardened their hearts. They have been now cast over into a reprobated mind, and then also, you know what I'm saying, a spirit of delusion, because they seek gratification and validation on the things that they do, you know what I'm saying, when the things that they have done are not the things of their own works. People who put themselves in a certain place just because many people like you or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you're not liked of your own design. You are liked because there's something inside of you that the Most High has given you in order for you to be likable. And so now it's something that people are able to relate to, so therefore they take time to be able to pour into you and to be able to bond with you off of the gifting and off of the creation of who you are through the Most High. You didn't create yourself. You didn't create your talents and your gifts, your skills. You didn't create your own work, making yourself who you are. You know what I'm saying? It is the fact that the Most High has shined favor over you and put something precious inside of you that people could recognize. And so as this ended up happening, then it ended up making it to where your gift has now made room for you. But you were a gift, you know what I'm talking about, in the present from the Most High. You see that? And so people tend to get lost in that. People get lost in their looks because they look a certain way, or all these aesthetics and things like that. The Most High created you, you know what I'm saying, to be beautiful or to be handsome the way that you are, you know what I'm talking about. But this is not to your own doing. It's because He gave you the features that He wanted you to be able to stand out, because He is an artist. He is a master creator. He is, you know what I'm saying, He creates masterpieces. And so regardless of if people think that just because you're not aesthetically pleasing to the eye of the certain dynamic of how they want, there's still some things that is inside of you that, you know what I'm saying, is a masterpiece. There's so many people that might not look so pleasing to the eye, but they have beautiful, wonderful gifts. They can sing great, you know what I'm saying, they have beautiful personalities, they have artistic talents and stuff like that. Then there's people that look pleasing to the eye, but they can't do anything. They couldn't fight themselves out of a wet paper bag. They just look pleasing to the eye, but the Most High has created them with a certain form of beauty, you know what I'm saying, to show that his creativity is not something that is limited, right? And so this is what people are drawn towards. And so we do not really have consideration for, you know what I'm saying, what it takes to be able to be a husbandman. And when I say a husbandman, I'm not just talking to just the men. I'm speaking about, you know what I'm saying, as, you know what I'm saying, to the women as well, you know what I'm saying, the daughters of Christ, the daughters of the Most High, right? Is because if that's the case, let's go here to Titus. Let me go to Titus and show you something. Let's bring this out, right? So in Titus in 2, and it says, let me see here. And we'll start at Titus 2:2, and it says that the aged men be sober, grave, temper, sound in faith, in charity and patience. And we know that word charity is love, right? Now let's go deeper. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not giving too much wine, Salakia, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, and to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Yahweh be not blasphemed. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded, all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary
part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters, and to please them well in all things, not answering again, right? Not prolonging, but shewing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of our Elohim, our Savior, in all things. For the grace of Yahweh that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men. You see that? And I'm going to go a little bit further, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present world, looking for that blessed hope and glorious appearing of the great Elohim and our Savior, Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus Christ, right? Who gave himself for us, that we might redeem us from all iniquity and purity unto himself, a peculiar people, zealous of good works. All these things speak and exhort and rebuke with all authority. Let no man despise thee. You see that? We live in a world right now where people will hear the word obedience, and because they want control and power, they will look at that word obedience as something, as, you know what I'm saying, a threat to of their Godhead, or a threat of, you know what I'm saying, their pride and ego. And so this is the same thing, because this can go both ways with marriages and, you know what I'm saying, and just relationships with one another. And one thing I've also seen is that people will be like, you know, well, people who are not who have not been married should not speak on marriage. And I get it to a certain extent, but I have been married before, no longer am I. And so the thing about it is this, is that as people who have experienced marriage are able to see the wrongs in the things of where they fell short into those things, you know what I'm saying, and also the things that they could have also done right, so they're able to give advice. But also, whenever you read the scripture and you realize that we're supposed to present ourselves as, you know what I'm saying, a bride for the groomsman, which is Christ, right? Then this means that what it says clearly here on behalf of the woman is that we're supposed to also show, you know what I'm saying? And so many people will just get lost in the sex of it. Okay, well, this is what women are supposed to do and this is what men are supposed to do. But if we're presenting ourselves as brides, you know what I'm saying, to the husbandman, right, then we see clearly that it says here that the aged women likewise that they be in behavior as becometh to holiness, not false accusers, not given too much wine, teachers in good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober and to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands. So if we take out the fact of an actual marriage and we put it into a fact of a spiritual marriage, and we place ourselves in the bride's, you know what I'm saying, order, then we see clearly that these are the things that are required, right? And it also says to be obedient to their own husband. So this means that we should be obedient to Christ. We should be obedient to, you know what I'm saying, the laws and the statutes. One of the main thing is love. If we're not operating in love for one another, you know what I'm talking about, then we're operating outside of something, and we're operating into our own scheme of things, you know what I'm saying, which is outside of the will of the Most High, right? So many people fall short, and so many people tend to lose, you know what I'm saying, sight of what is really important, because they tend to fall onto their own ideologies, you know what I'm talking about, and their own understanding, when it says clearly lean not unto your own understanding, right? And so this is, if it was the things that we lean onto were so right and so good, then the world would not be the way it is. We would not easily be so prone to lust, or to people doing gratifications and justifications of us, or trying to justify ourselves in a get along group, or trying to be a pleasing, you know what I'm saying, to the eye or to the ears of other people, knowing that, you know what I'm saying, we are false and erred within ourselves, you know what I'm talking about, and not able to really submit. So this is the thing about it, you know what I'm saying, that a lot of people don't tend to really understand, and they don't consider it. They don't consider it with themselves, and so they will tend to make up excuses, and, you know what I'm saying, oh, well, if this person hadn't done this to me, then I wouldn't have done that, you know what I'm saying. It's many times that so many people have blasphemed the Most High, or have, you know what I'm saying, did transgressions against their own children, or against their own family members, against their neighbor. People have stolen, lied, you know what I'm saying. People have seen, there's been so many times where I've seen people who knew about people that were cheating and did not even warn or tell, and they like, oh, well, it's not my business to tell. But yet, you know what I'm saying, you are supposed to make sure that you go to your brother or your sister and let them know that, hey, you wrong, you shouldn't be doing that. But because we live in a world of where people have this thing of no snitching, you know what I'm saying, or it's not my business, but then whenever you end up being in a situation and somebody does it to you, then you get mad and upset, and then you want to take somebody's head off, you know what I'm saying, but yet you didn't consider yourself in the situation that was presented to you, for you to be able to be the person that's supposed to be able to stand out and operate, you know what I'm saying, in righteousness. Sometimes people just want to be able to have just a temporary bit of something in order for them to say that they have it, just for them to seem upright, but yet don't want the full entirety of the responsibility of that which they hold. You see that? And so it entails that we're supposed to hold a lot more than what, you know what I'm saying, than what we truly just desire simply, you know what I'm saying, because we can't fully work the authority, you know what I'm talking about, if we're only doing it temporarily, right? So one of the things is this, is that, you know what I'm saying, where is it? Is that if he gives us, so many people will ask for, you know what I'm saying, a blessing, you know what I'm saying, prior to the time that they're supposed to get it. And so one thing that, you know what I'm saying, I had learned is that if he gives us the blessing before the time, you know what I'm saying, then we would either think of it as sabotage, or we would self-sabotage it ourselves. And so this is another reason why certain things have to take a while to process, because things operate on his timing. And as we know, like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, that with Joseph, you know what I'm talking about, and with Esther, these things did not happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? They were not even loved in the midst of, you know what I'm saying, their process. And so there's times that you have to understand that you will not be loved, or you will not be accepted in your process. And so it's okay, because that process is for you. It's for him to be able to work the faith through that process, for things to transpire, for things to seem shaky, things to seem wavery, like that they might not pull through, in order for, you know what I'm saying, them to only pull through to strengthen your faith, right? It's the same thing with, you know what I'm talking about, with Daniel, and with, you know what I'm saying, Noah and Jonah and stuff like this, that we understand, right? Salakia. Jonah didn't build an ark, you know what I'm talking about, in like 5 years. It wasn't built in 5 years. Sometimes people, whenever you are dealing in, you know what I'm talking about, the faction of actual for real ministry, nobody just becomes a minister overnight. You know what I'm saying? There can be something that is inside of you in the gifting, but you also have to have people that are going to be able to bring you. Now, he can call you to do so, but he's going to place you around people to be able to bring you into that thing. You know what I'm saying? And so a good example is this, is that, you know what I'm saying, it's like I was talking about Paul. Paul did not bring himself into being able to be an apostle. He had to be able to, he came into, you know what I'm saying, under Barnabas. And so when we understand that, and we understand that, you know what I'm saying, then it should make things a little bit more clear in our lives. And so, you know what I'm saying, it's very crazy, you know what I'm saying, that the enemy has done so many things, you know what I'm talking about, to manipulate the church and to try to pervert the church, that, you know what I'm saying, so many people do not really put trust in the churches. Then we have to ask ourselves, why is he doing that, you know what I'm saying, within the churches, right? It's because that the enemy knows that fellowship and knows that the assembly of being able to be around, you know what I'm saying, the essence and the presence of the Most High in the midst of people who are like-minded, you know what I'm saying, then things work in their favor, right? So let me go back here really quick, and let me go to Philippians 2:2. Where Philippians 2:2 it says, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, one mind. Right? So if the enemy is able to have people just many different places, and yet they're one accord, but yet they're not able to be able to I guess encounter or embody the full presence, you know what I'm saying? Because these devices have been created as well to kind of keep some form of separatism from each other, because so many people feel safe talking behind these devices. But yet whenever they go out into the world, it's hard for them to communicate with people or to administer to people. We will look at other people, and then, you know what I'm saying, well, not me, but I've seen people that look at other people and they'll mess around and not want to share the word or the testimony, and they'll look like, oh, well, that person it doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? But then they'll get online and then they'll send likes and shares about their favorite celebrity or whoever, but yet they want to encourage their own family members, their own friends, and everything like this. And you know what I'm saying, they have no for real consideration for these people, whenever, you know what I'm saying, the smallest thing for us to really be able to do is to be able to, you know what I'm saying, have edification towards one another in our own households and our family. How can somebody really be able to edify and work the word if they don't have consideration for those people that are in their own household? You see that? There are so many parents that will mess around and trying to validate themselves and stuff like this, and they will withhold the children from another parent and try to make that parent look like that the parent is wicked or whatever, when, you know what I'm saying, they don't know that they're hurting the child. They're supposed to be of one accord, but because of, you know what I'm saying, the mistakes that they made and they're trying to cover up, then they will tend to try to make excuse after excuse, or try to, you know what I'm saying, paint somebody negative, whether it be the male or the woman, you know what I'm saying, and they'll end up hurting the child because they're not standing together, and because they want to validate themselves, or they want to present themselves as the God over that relationship. Aside from them pretending like or saying that they're not God over their relationship, that's really what they're doing, is presenting themselves like the God over that relationship. A Jezebelic spirit, you know what I'm saying, being able to have control over a situation and not being able to relinquish, you know what I'm saying, the control, and allow the Most High to be able to operate in the child's life. Now, it's a difference whenever there's, you know what I'm saying, a spouse that is abusive, the spouse that is very abusive to the children and abusive, you know what I'm saying, to the other spouse and things like this, you know what I'm saying. But I'm speaking about households where there is not a person that is of the such, you know what I'm saying, that is not of the sort, right? Is, you know what I'm saying, the Most High cannot work the situation if you were holding on to a situation and not allowing it to work, right? And so, like what I'm saying is that as we're supposed to present ourselves as the husbandmen, you know what I'm talking about, in our situations, to actually be able to operate in the fashion of how, you know what I'm saying, the Mashiach has fashioned himself, to be able to be humble, to know that there are things that are beyond us that we don't have control. So we're supposed to submit ourselves and allow the Most High to be able to work his will in our lives. We just need to make sure that we are in position, you know what I'm saying. It's just like running a football play, you know what I'm talking about. All the people have to be in position in order for that play to be ran successfully. So if somebody is not in position and they run the play, then, you know what I'm saying, the person who is supposed to throw the ball does not have proper coverage, you know what I'm talking about. Then the people who are not in position to be able to receive the ball, it's either going to be an interception, or, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be something of where that play falls and it fails. And so now they're not able to gain yardage, or not able to gain that much more or territory closer to the victory, right? And so when we look at it in that aspect, it's the same thing with us, is that if we're not in our set positions for us to be able to walk through the doors that he opens for us, you know what I'm saying, and to be prepared for the seasons that he gives to us, then it goes back into what I said, is that if he gives us something, you know what I'm saying, the blessing before time, then we'll end up thinking that it's a sabotage, or we will self-sabotage it. So you see how that works. Another thing is that so many people will talk about, you know what I'm saying, they're waiting to go to the perfect church. The perfect church does not exist. And if it did, you know what I'm saying, once you would be there, once you join that church, you know what I'm saying, it would be an imperfect church once you join it. And so what this means is that the church is full of imperfections. Nobody is perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect council. There are people that deal with every different thing. There are people that have infirmities, addictions, you know what I'm talking about, inadequacies. You know what I'm saying? There are people that deal with pride and lust and ego and all this thing. And the main thing about it is that in that assembly, the presence is supposed to be felt in order for him to be able to work through that assembly, in order for things to be able to dissipate and for us to be able to become stronger, to encourage and edify each other, to walk with each other. Nobody's supposed to do the walk alone. You know what I'm saying? Many people, on the contrary to their beliefs, feel like that they're supposed to do this walk alone in life, but life was not made for us to be able to walk alone. If that was the case, there would be no such thing as interaction. There would be no such thing as me doing a video, you know what I'm saying, that can speak life into your life, or you sharing a testimony, you know what I'm talking about, that can speak to my situation. That's how interaction works. You see that we're made to be able to interact and to coexist. If that was not the case, then he would not have created our creation to coexist amongst itself. The devil tries to tear down the creation by separating and dividing and isolating, you know what I'm saying, the many different things. That's why he wants to try to kill humanity off, or set people off, in order for him to be able to have power, you know what I'm saying, to operate in certain things, you know what I'm saying, because he really does not like our existence, right? We operate and coexist with nature and plants. Nature coexists with us. If that was not the case, we would not have fruits and vegetables and things that, you know what I'm saying, that grow, nuts and berries and stuff like this, that grown off of trees in order for us to be able to feed ourselves off of, for us to be able to have energy. We would not be able to breathe the air that also helps with trees to be able to breathe, you know what I'm saying. Everything is a very well crafted and orchestrated. That's the thing, a word that's a great word, is orchestrated, you know what I'm saying, because anybody that thinks about orchestra, it's many different instruments playing together, you know what I'm talking about, in the same tune, but at their own different cost, you know what I'm saying, to make a beautiful thing happen, right? A beautiful song. And so things are orchestrated in this way of a dynamic to show that harmony, you know what I'm saying, because even notes are harmonious in the harmony of life, the harmony of the Most High, how it operates. And that's a beautiful thing. You see that? And so many people don't really understand that, nor do they really grasp that concept of something that is so minute, but yet, you know what I'm saying, people are so self-absorbed and they have no consideration for their brothers and sisters. They'll consider themselves to be victims. They'll consider certain things to be able to transpire that it came against them or whatever, but they won't consider the pain that they're doing. They won't consider people who try to gatekeep, or people who try to emulate and mock and act like whatever, you know what I'm saying, knowing that they're not fully healed inside themselves, you know what I'm saying, knowing that they are very spiteful, that they are hateful towards their brothers, but then presenting on the outside that they are righteous and holy, but yet they cannot stand, nor can they forgive, nor can they even, you know what I'm saying, consider, you know what I'm talking about, that, you know what I'm saying, the possibility of loving somebody else, the possibility of that they have fallen short on something in their life that was not pleasing to the Most High, but the Most High turned his eye, but yet there was something that their neighbor has done, and now they want revenge, or they want to be able to try to, deter a person, or try to tarnish or tear down a person's destiny, or to, make a person seem lesser than they are, only for them to feel self-exalted. You know what I'm talking about? It's something grandiose, and not knowing that, that's pure fallacy, right? They will study knowledge and everything else, and want the knowledge of, life and everything else, but not want the factions and the actions of what really is accountable and responsible, which, keeps everything in a harmonious cycle, which is love and appreciation, gratitude, grace, mercy. You see that? I've seen so many things where there have been animals that mess around that shouldn't even be operating together. You know what I'm talking about? I seen this one video where it was a fish that was out of water, and then yet a snake had came through, and used his bite to guide the fish into the water, and then the fish actually left, and the snake was just okay chilling. You know what I'm saying? I've seen things where there have been horses that would eat their own feed from the feed bag, and then, sprinkle little pieces and stuff like that for the birds that are outside the feed bag to be able to be fed. You know what I'm saying? None of these things had exalted themselves amongst the other. And this is the thing, is that we're supposed to be the same way in the body. So many people will try to appoint themselves into certain positions, and people will follow these people and idolize these people, and yet these same people that are being idolized don't give a care, a plumb damn in the world for you or me. They only care about their own family, not knowing that the true thing is that once you care for other people outside of your family, then that what you put out, those seeds that you sow, is the seeds that you reap. You know what I'm saying? What you sow is what you will end up reaping. So if you sow in love, then you reap in love. There will be a harvest of love. People tend to get bent out of shape, is because they feel like that it's one of those ordeals where it's like, that's a proverb. It's an ancient proverb that says that he who sows a seed must keep in mind that he may not be able to receive the shade or the fruit from that tree once it's blossomed, or once it's, grown, right? And so if a person understands that proverb, then they understand that sowing a seed in love is just that, is that whenever you feel like that if you sow a seed, then you're not going to get something back from it, and you just want something in return, you're not sowing in charity. You're sowing in looking for something to come back to you. And then, you're trying to force things to come back to you, not knowing that thing can come back, and be beneficial to your inheritance, to your children, or whatever. And that is a form of love. Being able to love outside of your own jurisdiction, without just wanting, yourself to experience the thing of love. And also, you're denying the power of the Most High. This to say that you don't believe that he is going to even allow you to be able to endure the loving that you desire. You know what I'm saying? Whenever he wants the best for a lot of us, he allows these situations and scenarios for us to go through in order for us to be able to be honed and fine-tuned, sharpened through these things. People will talk about a marriage, right? And I see it so superficial these days, is that people will talk about marriage only because they want to belong and have a ring, and want the ideology of it. They don't want the work of it. They don't know that, whenever you are wanting to be married, you are considering to present yourself as, a sacrifice. You are going to sacrifice. You are going to be submissive. You are going to allow yourself to work the responsibility and the accountability of being, obedient, and, something that is outside of yourself, that is outside of your control, to be able to coexist and allow things to happen. Not every day a marriage is perfect. Like I said, I've been married before. Not every day a marriage is perfect. One thing that I will say is that marriage is a beautiful thing. Being married to the right person is the ideal, right? And so, like people will be like, okay, well, who is the right person? When you're equally yoked, when y'all, you know what I'm saying, have a for real divine connection with the Most High. Somebody who does not mind praying for you. You don't mind praying for people, because in a relationship, you're supposed to be responsible for each other. You're supposed to be able to have, you know what I'm saying, the ability to be able to have deliverance for one another, to be able to pray in the spirit whenever one person is weak. You are supposed to be the strong point in that relationship. You know what I'm saying? Even when it does not seem favorable, the person has made you mad, y'all got into an argument or whatever, but yet you're not going to go out and be like, you know what I'm saying, let me just go and get me something to eat and not worry about this other person. Whenever you truly love a person, you're still going to make sure that they, you know what I'm saying, get something to eat, that they're nourished. It's the same thing spiritually. We can use that simple that simple example, you know what I'm talking about, with people who have children, or people that have pets or whatever. Your pet can mess around and messed up the furniture or whatever, but you're still going to make sure that if you are a true animal lover, you're going to make sure that that pet is fed and that pet is still taken care of. Yeah, the pet did a transgression, but that does not make you love the pet any less. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the same thing within, you know what I'm saying, children, is that we will end up loving our children and having the love for our children, but not have that same type of love for the Most High nor our spouse. And this is why it's no consideration. It's a very honorary duty to be able to have somebody that trusts you enough with their life and with their atmosphere, with, you know what I'm saying, their spirit, for them to, you know what I'm saying, want to truly be submissive to you, for them to trust you enough, for them to know that you can lead whenever time calls for you to lead. You know what I'm saying? And this is the reason why the world is the way it is because we have too many false chiefs and not enough Indians. So many people present themselves as leaders, but they don't really know how to lead. They don't really know what the end goal is, what the end game is. You know what I'm saying? One thing that I've learned in my life and on my journey is that aside from me not knowing what my full destiny entails, I am able to allow the Most High to really do working in my life and relinquish the control, no matter what my situation looks like. No matter if my situation has been hard or my situation has been easy, it's not been a problem for me to relinquish the control, relinquish the reins, and be like, hey, wherever you take it is where I'm going with it. It was a point in time in my life where I was being blown to and fro wherever the wind would blow me, and the thing that was understood to me, that was given to me, is that, hey, wherever I place you, I need you to go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, show love and administer to these people, you know what I'm saying, through your testimony and through your actions, that there is a love that really exists. This is why that there's a lot of people, aside from the people that pretend like that I'm so much of a bad guy, whatever. They don't read the chapter out loud in their lives of that, yeah, he was a great person to me. He actually showed me love and kindness. He actually would be the person that would go to bat for me. You know what I'm talking about? He would go to bat for my kids. He would mess around and put his life on the line in situations. He had placed himself in situations, you know what I'm saying, for him to be broken, only for me to be able to have a good life. You know what I'm saying? They won't read that part out loud. You see that? But that's okay, because you have to understand that, you know what I'm saying, it's to a certain point it's not okay, but it is, because we know that it's really the Most High who has uses us. And so we know that, you know what I'm saying, the glory is not for us, the glory is for him. So that's why I say it's okay. It's because it's not for us to be glorified, but it's for him to actually have the glory, and for him to have used us to supplant those seeds in other people's lives in order for them to be able to flourish. You know what I'm saying? For them to be able to grow. Now, the way that they treat us in the process of that will decipher, you know what I'm saying, the quickening of how far they grow, how fast they grow, or, you know what I'm saying, if they're able, you know what I'm saying, to Salakia, to be able to pass the test that he has sent us in people's lives to be able to help them to prepare for, right? And it won't just be us, he'll send other people as well, you know what I'm saying? Because one thing I know about this journey of life, right, is that things will continuously happen until there's no more grace. So there's times whenever he's placed people in my journey and I didn't see the people for who they were. right? And so I was like, okay, well, and then it ended up being years later, you know what I'm saying, in order for me to be able to meet a said person that was in that same type of demeanor again, right? We know this to be true is because one thing about it is we all have an experience with what we call the one that got away, right? And so this should show us, I'm using that example just to show us that within that thing, it's the same thing, you know what I'm saying, whenever we meet people, regardless if it's not a person that we're a love interest or whatever, it's people that are friends, you know what I'm saying. Some people have friends that they know were great friends, but because they fell out, you know what I'm saying, over some negative stuff or some dumbfounded stuff that didn't really have any purpose, you know what I'm saying, just to try to appease other people, the people that they try to appease don't really care about them the way that the friend could have really cared about them, and so they end up thinking about that friend, or they think about that person that crossed their paths or whatever. You see that? So that's why I use that to that same analogy. Some people, some of y'all are in marriages and relationships with people who are great people, but because you were so focused on trying to devalue them or what they didn't do to please you, who are you first and foremost, you know what I'm saying, for the world to just appease you? The world was not, you know what I'm saying, rotate. The world does not rotate around you. You know what I'm saying? When you understand this, then you understand that as soon as you die, you know what I'm saying, the world is going to keep going. So who are you to deem yourself somebody that, you know what I'm saying, the world should stop breathing, or, you know what I'm saying, Yah forbid that, you know what I'm saying, somebody does not adhere to something that you want in your life, you know what I'm saying, that you really don't need because of pride and ego and arrogance, you know what I'm talking about, and now you want to treat somebody as, you know, somebody that you can actually put them, you don't, even though you don't have a heaven or hell to put them in, or try to condemn them. You know what I'm talking about? But Yah forbid somebody treat you the same way that you treat somebody else, and then you'll make an excuse. Well, it's different. It's not the same exact way and all this type of stuff, when in actuality it's all the same thing, right? Don't treat people the way that you wouldn't want to be treated. You cannot be out here telling people that that you really have a genuine care and interest for people, but yet, you know what I'm saying, you're not truly trying to, you know what I'm saying, love a person enough for you to change your ways of lusting and you know what I'm saying, of addiction and all these type of things, or not even being patient with people who are trying to change them things within themselves, and so now you're judging them and getting mad. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. So we have to make sure that we are people that, you know what I'm talking about, that we operate as what is really required. You know what I'm saying? As a true husbandman, or, you know what I'm saying, or a true bride for Christ. You know what I'm talking about? And so those things come with huge responsibilities. It's not easy for somebody to be able to set aside the mentality which they have grown into. You know what I'm talking about? For them to put that thing aside and realize that some of those things might be erroneous traits. It's not easy for people to do so, and so people will make an excuse for them to hold on to those things, and, you know what I'm saying, oh, well, that's just me, and, you know what I'm talking about, they'll mess around, and what's that excuse, you know what I'm talking about, he's working on me. Well, he's working on me. Well, how's he working on you if you're not willing to be worked on? So now you're using that thing, like I said, with Luke 16:19. You know what I'm talking about? When they say that he knows my heart or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, 16:15. My bad. So Luke 16:15, and we'll revisit that verse where it says here that that you are those to justify yourselves before men, but God knows your hearts. For what is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of Yahweh, right? And so we see many other things as far as, let me read this verse as well. 1 Samuel 16:7, where it says that the Adonai does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Adonai looks at the heart, right? Then we know that Jeremiah 20:12, the Adonai tests the righteous and sees the heart and the mind. Why does he test the righteous? This is why we're supposed to be tried and tested by the Spirit. He tests us by those things in order to show us, for one, what we need work on. You know what I'm saying? To show us inside of ourselves what we need work on. So many people will go into isolation, or, you know what I'm saying, be in their wilderness and not interact with people for real and be like that he's working on me, right? But then whenever they get around other people that are able to shine brighter than them, or they have certain attributes or gifts that, you know what I'm saying, that maybe oversee theirs, then they get mad and they end up having a spirit of jealousy and not knowing that they are jealous people. You see that? And so that type of thing, or where they feel like that, okay, well, I'm a righteous person and stuff like this, but yet whenever they look at their neighbor, and shun them in their hearts. You know what I'm saying? Well, that person is you know what I'm saying, is just a bum Negro, or that person is poor white trash or whatever, so we're not gonna, that type of mentality. You know what I'm talking about? Whenever it says clearly that, you know what I'm saying, in charity and in operating under the laws and statutes of the Most High through Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus the Christ, is how we're able to gain access into the kingdom. So then it's no longer about, you know what I'm saying, bloodline, because you can be a person that thinks that you inherit something off of a bloodline, but then, you know what I'm saying, be a piece of crap to people and think that he finna save you and give you, you know what I'm saying, when you're not doing nothing but operating adulterous spirit, when you're idolizing yourself or exalting yourself over somebody, and that's not what you're called to do. So now you're operating outside of the ordinance of what the jurisdiction of what he had said with his laws and statutes. You see how that works? So many people will tend to do that is because they want revenge on them, on their own selves, not knowing that so many people have suffered at the ongoings of the sins of their forefathers, you know what I'm saying, via idol worship and all this type of stuff. And these would be the main people that talk about that, well, if I was alive back then, you know what I'm saying, I would have been this and all this type of stuff, when they're a total opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? They worship themselves, they exalt themselves, they do idol worship, they make excuses to not be able to be accountable or responsible for real, you know what I'm saying? They hide certain things behind the scenes and stuff like that of who they truly are, you know what I'm saying, to present themselves as somebody who is holier than thou and righteous or whatever, and they're not admitting that, you know what I'm saying, there's flaws within them, or, you know what I'm saying, or that they only try to choose people off of, you know what I'm saying, the aesthetics of how a person looks and stuff, and not really know how to operate under the order of what the Most High says is to judge a person by the heart and not by the outer look. So this is why they're going into these relationships with people that look good and that can talk a good game, but yet those relationships fall because they're not equally yoked, nor because the person is ideal looking to them or whatever. So now, you know what I'm saying, it's a thing where it still falls underneath the eye of lust. You see that? These type of things, right? Another one is that, you know what I'm saying, Proverbs 21:2 is that the Adonai weighs the heart, right? First Chronicles 28:9, the Adonai searches every heart and understand the desire in every thought, right? And then Psalms 139:2, you discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all of my ways. You see? So the Most High does his work, and the Most High, you know what I'm saying, tries us through many different things. And so he knows us. This is why he knows us. He knows what we desire before we even ask for it. Sometimes the things that we desire is not really what is going to be a healthy thing for us to be able to attain. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a ideology of what it is, but yet we only are wagering in the certain things of that. Okay, well, I want a relationship with this type of person or whatever, and they should be able to do this, and they should be able to live up to this and do all this and everything like that. You know what that's called? That's called a spirit of delusion. This means that you have not assessed the person, nor have you accepted that a person is an actual person in their own right of individuality, you know what I'm talking about. And so you have now based them on a synopsis of how you want them to interact inside your life, not thinking that, okay, well, I want to be able to be this for that person, and if they need this, and though I don't like that, I can be able to be that. You see how that works? So people operate in the spirit of delusion a lot of times, and they don't know that they're operating in the spirit of delusion. And so this is why it's very the heart is very wicked. You know what I'm saying? Man is not good, most definitely not in his heart. You know what I'm saying? We are only made perfect in two things. We're only made perfect in the work of the Mashiach in Christ. You know what I'm talking about? How he operates through us, and then we're also only made perfect in our celestial bodies whenever we are entered into perfection. To be absent of the body is to be present with the Most High. So this means that we are now in our perfect form, right? We were once perfect people once we were in the Garden of Eden, you know what I'm saying, as Adam and Eve, is because we were in his likeness. We were operating in the things that, you know what I'm saying, that he had ordained for us. But because the enemy had came and lied to Adam and Eve and manipulated and tempted them and told them, well, what about, you know what I'm saying, this, because he don't want you to be like God and all this type of stuff. All that stuff was in the knowledge of you know what I'm saying, forever chasing knowledge and never coming into the truth whenever they were already operating in the truth. So he tricked them out of their position in order for him to be able to take reign. Thus he ends up being labeled the prince of the air. You see that? So it's a very crafty game. It's a lot of deceit. And a lot of us have, you know what I'm saying, self-deceit, not realizing that, you know what I'm talking about, whenever we operate within existence with each other, that we should for real have compassion. So many people will their threat sensors will go off on a person that, you know what I'm saying, could either be more wise or, you know what I'm saying, more intelligent than a person, and not knowing that, okay, well, I can learn from this person. I can end up growing and being even that much more, because evolution is definitely one thing that exists, is that nobody is, you know what I'm saying, the wisest. There are people that are a lot more wiser as we grow. You see that in all wisdom and knowledge and understanding comes from the Most High anyway. People don't get that part, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my nose is itching. I guess that's the spirit, you know what I'm saying? But that's one thing, is that many people don't really understand that, is that they look at it as knowledge and wisdom is just a man-made thing. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge and wisdom comes from the experience of life and us being able, you know what I'm saying, to have a spiritual insight and developing, you know what I'm talking about, mental cognitions and recognitions in the format of life and its basis, to see what all correlates and what does not really operate for to fulfill us, or what, you know what I'm saying, can be fulfilling even in those things that don't fulfill us, and thus gaining wisdom. But wisdom is only given through the insight, you know what I'm saying, of the Most High, because we have a likeness of him that is inside of us within our essence. But so many people would deny that and think that it's of their own doing. And that's where you already have cut yourself short. It's thinking that it's of you. Anything that I know is not of me. I seek things and I pray about things, and then he will expound on things and allow things to be opened up to me. You know what I'm saying? Some people think that certain things stop with individuals. There's been plenty of times where there have been certain teachers and stuff like this, and people are like, well, this is the only teacher that, and so that's what that is, but not knowing that they're going into idolatry. That teacher didn't know what they knew unless they ended up, you know what I'm saying, allowing themselves to be used by the Most High. And the Most High can give the same revelation in a different way to somebody else, you know what I'm talking about. And the thing about it that makes that thing relatively, you know what I'm saying, the relativity is, you know what I'm saying, and commonality is the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is the teacher. You see how that works? And so that's one thing that people don't really understand. They don't really get. And so many people get lost into their own world. And this is why it's a blessing and a great thing that, you know what I'm saying, you and I are not the Most High. Is because if you was the Most High, the world would probably be in ashes, and, you know what I'm saying, people would be servant slaves unto you, and, you know what I'm saying, all this type of stuff, and you wouldn't actually have the humility to be like, I'm just going to allow people to exist and allow them to grow and things like that, because you want control. You're a controlling person. You see how that works? Some people I'm not very much of a controlling person, but I will say there are times that, you know what I'm saying, people do get on my nerves, and I'm glad I'm not the Most High, you know what I'm saying, because some people could get thrashed, you know what I'm talking about, but because he works through me, because he works with me and I work through him on certain things, you know what I'm saying, then he teaches me and I'm able to learn the patience and not be so quick to anger as I once was, or to want to tear somebody's head off or do all this other stuff that is not even of the kingdom, that would serve no purpose. You see that? So many times, and let's go back talking about the marriage thing, right? And I want people that are not married and people that are married to put this in perspective. Is that so many times, you know what I'm saying, you being disobedient and negligent and doing things your own way and wanting your own, you know what I'm saying, thing to happen the way you want it to happen, you know what I'm talking about, but yet the Most High still loves you and still, you know what I'm saying, Hamashiach, you know what I'm saying, Christ still loves you and still is there for you to help you out through situations of your tears and to wipe your tears and to love you, you know what I'm saying, to comfort you in the times where you might not even deserve comfort, but yet there he is. Think about that being the same thing as a husband or a wife that you are being in a relationship with, and you're not doing things that is pleasing to them, but yet they still there for you in your corner, and they're still loving on you. You know what I'm saying? Even in times whenever you've made it very much hard for them to love you. You see how that works? When you put that type of thing in perspective in its entirety and you see how it really operates, then, you know what I'm saying, you become more selfless than selfish, because you see how selfish you have been. You see how selfish you are to the Most High. You see how selfish you are to those that love you, you know what I'm saying, and how selfish you are to yourself, because you can only love somebody as deeply as you loved yourself. And if you only love yourself to a certain extent to feel like that you are exalted over everybody or whatever, that's not really self-love. You know what I'm saying? That's you living in a lie, in illusion. You feeling like that, you know, oh, well, this, but then if anything else gets out of line, then your whole world will collapse or fall apart because you're still seeking for some type of form of gratification, thus via control. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know that partial of control comes from gratification, for things to operate in the order that you want it to operate in. So therefore, this gratifies you, or this justifies you, or vindicates what you feel. You know what I'm saying? Which is also off of the interaction and the basis of somebody else's interaction towards you. That's very toxic. You see that? And so this is why a lot of people don't like whenever people get to speaking about the real, you know what I'm saying, the real meaty things of what it really takes in order for us to be able to love each other and be for real husbandmen and brides, you know what I'm talking about, for Christ. To be husbandmen, you know what I'm talking about, to our families and those that we love, and to our neighbors and everything like that, because everybody feels like that there is some form or something that they should be able to be validated. Oh, well, this person, you know what I'm saying, called me a nigger or whatever, so I should be able to call them a racist term or whatever, you know what I'm saying, but yet you fight fire with fire instead of just being like, you know what, that's on you, that's a reflection of who you are, that's not who I am. You can't place a label on me. Yeah, you can look at me, you know what I'm saying, and many people have done it throughout years, have looked upon us as a certain people or whatever, but yet at the same time, we now know what it really is because there's something that you lack inside yourself. So now you want to spew hatred, but because we are not you, we're not going to return the same fire. Now, we are most definitely required to defend ourselves. So it's a difference between somebody, you know what I'm saying, coming at you and trying to, you know what I'm saying, slaughter you or slay you. Must definitely defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because even the Mashiach, even Christ says to defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? He's not somebody that just lays down to be like, oh, well, I'm going to lay down and let you do that. No, if you get to trying to put my life in danger, you know what I'm talking about, then expect your head to get knocked off. Expect, you know what I'm saying, some heat to come with that, because it's not no easy walk over here. That's what it should be. You know what I'm saying? The midst of it is saying that meek is not weak. Knowing that you have the ability to be able to do something towards somebody that can either knock their block off or whatever, you know what I'm saying, but yet you're patient enough and, you know what I'm saying, you have emotional and spiritual intelligence enough to know that some things it does not require a response or a reaction. It's like, okay, I'll let you, you know what I'm saying, you doing what you do, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? My world don't consist of just me in it. My world consists of many other people in it. My world consists of me being pleasing to the Most High. Because if a person let me give y'all this fun fact. If a person says that their world consists of, you know what I'm saying, the love of the Most High, then this means that they consider their neighbors, they consider their brothers and sisters, they consider their children, they consider their nieces and nephews, they consider other people, they consider humanity. They consider the existence of creatures in life. They consider, that's consideration. It's because that's like, oh, I know it's bigger than me. I'm just a piece of a puzzle that fits into a larger puzzle. You know what I'm saying? This is what that mindset is for those people. You know what I'm saying? People like myself and others who really operate in this for real. People who do not operate in this for real will look down at people. They'll respect a person who was at the top, but then disrespect the janitor. They will look at a person, you know what I'm saying, who loves animals and make fun of them or whatever and act like whatever because they don't consider animals or nature or whatever. People who will throw their trash out in litter and all this type of stuff and not think nothing of it because they don't consider things outside of themselves. They don't consider the love and the value of the creation and being able to be in existence within the creation, to coexist and to also be a part of something that's so spectacular and magnificent. So, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot deeper than what people think it is. You know what I'm talking about? And so that's why I named this one No Consideration. Is because so many people don't really have consideration. You know what I'm saying? You will only consider a person because you know, a person can teach Bible or whatever, and because they have a nice aesthetic look or because they have a nice body shape or something like that, and that's why, because you're lusting and you don't really get the word, and the word can't really be given to you because you're too busy lusting this person. The same thing with females who follow certain males. You know what I'm saying? There be these males that always got to show off their bodies and stuff like that when that's not really required. The main thing is for us to make sure that we're covered. You know what I'm saying? To present ourselves. We should not present ourselves as a ball of lust or temptation in order to distract you just to be pleasing to your eye, because now you don't hear anything that's coming out of here. You don't hear anything that's coming out of here. You only hear what you see. You know what I'm saying? And what you're hearing is what you're seeing is what's being facaded around and stuff like that, and thinking that this is what that is. But then you'll end up getting with said person, and the person won't be equally yoked and treat you like trash. And then now you like, oh, well, throw the whole Bible away, throw the whole scripture away. You know what I'm saying? Throw the whole connection to the intimacy of the Father away, because that's not really why you was locked into it in the first place. You was locked into it to see what you could have gotten out or gained out of that situation. That's spiritually irresponsible. And you can't blame somebody else for that. You know what I'm saying? Because you chose that path. We are all free to choose, but we are not free from the consequences of our actions. Right? So keep that in mind. Keep in mind, you know what I'm saying, that just try to be, because we are not perfect, and I'm not telling people and saying that we should operate, but what I am saying is this, is that the world needs a lot more consideration. The world needs a lot of more people that are willing. Whenever you love the way that you love and you have a love for people, then you are going to make sure that you are no longer the toxic person. You're going to make sure that you are not the unhealthy factor in the dynamic. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to make sure that you are not, you know what I'm saying, the centerpiece of attention in everything that's toxic, or make sure that you are not the magnetic component to negativity in scenarios and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you truly do love, because when you have a love for people, you know what I'm saying? People always talk about that, you know, I'll die for my family and all this type of stuff, or I'll die for you, or I'll die for this and all this type of stuff. But what will you stand up for? What will you live for? You know what I'm saying? What will you really live for? Will you live to be the best you that you can be in that scenario and situation, so that way, you know what I'm saying, if anything transpires, then, you know what I'm saying, you are able to be trusted, and you are able to maintain the things that you have obtained? Whenever you love somebody, are you able to acknowledge that you could be the problem in the situation, and willing to be able to be like, you know what, let me fall back and let me self-check and self-analyze and make sure that I'm a healthy component in what's required of me to be, you know what I'm saying, if I truly love somebody. These things are what's really required, you know what I'm saying. This is why I read what I read whenever we was talking about in Philippians, right, where it says clearly, Philippians 2 and let me see here, 2 and 6, whom being in the form of Yahweh thought it not robbery to be equal with Yahweh. So he never robbed him of, you know what I'm saying? We see in many scriptures he says the Father, the Father, the Father. He never says that, you know what I'm saying, talking about that it's me. That no, everything is the Father, you know what I'm saying? The Spirit of him who is he who was in me, you know what I'm talking about, the Holy Spirit, all these things, right? And so but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men, because we know men are not perfect, right? And being found in fashion as man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore Elohim Yahweh God also hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name. Right? One thing I want to say is this as well, is that the main reason being obedient to death, why the thing worked out in his favor, is because there was something after death that he was meant to do. And sometimes the situations that we go through can look like it could be death for us. You know what I'm saying? Mental or spiritual death, or even the physical. But something after that is something that is that much more greater for us. You know what I'm saying? After he, you know what I'm saying, was obedient unto death, then he conquered the keys, you know what I'm saying, of death from the grave, and, you know what I'm saying, was able to get the keys to the kingdom, right? Salakia, this is what was able to be passed unto us. The devil was not sharp enough to know that if he had not killed, you know what I'm saying, if he had not killed Christ, then we wouldn't have those keys. He was not that sharp. He was like, you know what? Okay, cool. Let me go ahead, because he's so worried about what's right there in his face value. Is being able to be the ruler of the earth or whatever, or thinking that he's the ruler of the earth. You know what I'm talking about? And really, it's just temptation. It's really weak. It's like somebody that, you know what I'm saying, that tells somebody else to do you something. You know what I'm saying? And those type of people have always been weak to me. The people who the people tend to fear, that have pull strings and stuff like that. These people that will never bust a grape themselves, that are never able to do it themselves, but they will use money and people and manipulation and all these other type of stuff. These are the most weakest people in the face of the earth to me, for real. The people are the ones that I believe that are really strong people, are the ones that don't have a problem to get up and do it, you know what I'm saying, themselves. People like myself that'll take action to be like, you know what, okay, from my standpoint, whatever I'm able to do, I will allow myself to be used to do whatever is required of me to do. Not sitting here and just sitting back and swaying people and pretending and playing on their minds and on their tops and stuff like that, and trying to get them to feel some type of way just to puppeteer. And I'm not doing none of that. That's weak to me. That's the most weakest thing you can do. Because one thing I do know is this, is that it's going to come to a time whenever you have to present yourself who you are in the face of people who see you from a distance. And your character is definitely going to present who you are and speak a lot more louder than what you say you do. You can compare lips to tell you anything, but who you truly are is most definitely going to stand out. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to speak for itself. Your character and integrity and reputation is definitely going to speak for you. You know what I'm talking about? Above anything else, whenever the time is then for you to be shown. It's only so much you can fake. The grass is only greener on the other side because the grass on the other side is fake. I had posted something like that in my Determination No Rule of Negativity page. Sometimes the grass ain't always green because the grass goes through seasons. It's the same thing like a relationship, right? Let me show y'all something. Sometimes the grass ain't always green, right? You see that? It shows you that sometimes the grass ain't always green. It's coming to the season. It's a season for everything. You see that? It's a season. So you have to consider this in relationships as well. The grass ain't gonna always be green. You know what I'm saying? But the grass is gonna be green where you water it, and the grass is definitely gonna be green where, you know what I'm saying, you allow it to be able to, you know what I'm saying, do what it's supposed to do. Seasons. So just be considerate for each other. Be considerate, you know what I'm talking about, in your relationship. Stop looking at other people's relationships and stuff like that. There's also people that I've seen things where there will be and I gotta say this too, because this was gonna be a whole nother video, but I'm gonna say it in this video. There's been things where I've seen there have been people that'll be in the church, but yet they're monitoring spirits. They'll be like, oh, well, you know, they're presented like it's a dream. I had a dream about this, and then, you know what I'm saying, I got a prophetic vision of this person is not your spouse and all this type of stuff, but yet you don't have a spouse. So how are you prophetically visioning somebody else's life? You know what I'm talking about? And none of that had anything to do with me, but the thing about it is I just see that type of stuff, and then I just see that this is what brings on church hurt. People having these prophetic things to say about relationships, but you're not, you know, and then they end up trying to like prophesy that, oh, well, by tomorrow 12 o'clock it'll be a turnaround time and all this type of stuff, and not seeing that you operating in a witchcraft. But yet you will be the same people that require prayer and then mislead other people, and you don't really believe that the Most High really has, you know what I'm saying, authority for real. Because if you did, then you would be very weary of you know what I'm saying, the judgment and the wrath that comes up on you after that. It's only because you live this luxury life or feeling like whatever that you think that things is going to be cookies and sweet and cakes and all this type of stuff in the afterlife for you. But you're not knowing that, you know what I'm saying, the Most High's wrath is very much, you know what I'm saying, it's only because of his grace is why you are not facing some of those things that you were getting ready to face. You know what I'm saying? And you still have an opportunity to change it, but yet you want to try to prophesy these things about, you know what I'm saying, relationships. Or he told me in a dream about a specific person. You know what I'm saying? He didn't teach you, he didn't prophesy anything about a people and about a nation, because last time I checked, whenever prophecy happens, it has to do with a lot of people, not just one person. We can talk about that, okay, well, with Nebuchadnezzar or whatever and all this type of stuff, but Nebuchadnezzar was a king. There were people that was after him, so that's why that showed that like that. It wasn't about just one person. So whenever people just try to talk about this prophecy about one person and all this type of stuff, you want to be very cautious of that. You know what I'm talking about? Like, the Most High definitely speaks through a lot of different things, you know what I'm talking about? And prophecy does exist. People trying to act like it don't exist, but it says in scriptures that, you know what I'm saying, there'll be many that will prophesy and stuff like that. They'll have the gift of prophecy. Dreamers will, many will have dreams, you know what I'm saying? Many will see. And so we understand that. But the thing about it is that, you know what I'm saying, people who are self-righteous prophets, or, you know what I'm saying, trying to prophesy outside of what the Most High really showed them and using many different things as fallacy, be careful with that. Watch out for those people, you know what I'm saying, because they present themselves with, you know, things that look good and all this type of stuff. And I'm not talking about just looks. I mean, like, they got the whole, everything is set up, and it looks like that the Most High is really, you know what I'm saying, operating in their lives and stuff like that. But we know that the enemy gives gifts as well, you know what I'm talking about. So be careful with that. You know, watch these people, because a lot of people they will fall from grace. They will be exalted into a position, but then they will tend to forget who they are and fall short into, you know what I'm saying, the pedestal and the plateau that they're on. And so now they're trying to rob the Most High of his glory. And so they will then desire to be idolized. Be careful for those people, you know what I'm saying. Pray for those people most definitely, but be careful. But, you know what I'm saying, that's about it that I have to say as far as with this. I appreciate everybody tuning in, you know what I'm saying, giving me your time, and just actually taking the time to listen and to better yourselves. And, you know what I'm saying, know that you're not on this walk alone. You know, I don't ever present myself as a perfect person. There's things that I spoke about so many times, you know what I'm saying? And it's not my job to continuously point out all my flaws and be like, hey, I'm flawed, I'm flawed, I'm flawed, I'm flawed, I'm flawed. My thing, you know what I'm saying? Because with that, then people tend to just focus on where the flaws is, and then they lose track of the word, and they'll lose track of how the Most High really has been working through my life. If people want to hear my things and testimonies, there's been many of them in many different videos. You just got to watch the videos, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to continuously revisit all the time, you know what I'm saying? Because as I grow, those things that are behind me, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing in your life, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody is gonna, there's people that'll continuously be like, oh, well, you're flawed here and stuff, but don't allow you the opportunity to grow. So therefore, the word can't really be able to be operative in your life without people seeing that you really grow. You see? So it's not an excuse or nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? There'll come a time whenever, and it's coming, and I love it because I'm ready for it, you know what I'm saying? For me to really just, and people gonna be like, wow, like I said, but, you know, I'm not led to speak on just everything in its entirety at these moments, you know what I'm saying? Because it's something that he's using me for, to be able to take me through something, right? And so just be encouraged. Know that you are loved. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I keep you on my prayers. Make sure you keep everybody else in your prayers. You know what I'm talking about? We're going to probably do a fast, you know what I'm saying, coming up here. There was some people that was talking about that they want to try to start a fast on, I think they said Saturday, and stop it on Monday. You know what I'm talking about? Some people want to start it tomorrow. So if that's the case, we can start one tomorrow, most definitely, you know what I'm saying, and end it on Monday or Tuesday. You know what I'm talking about? But just make sure that you are taking time to be able to fellowship and to be able to, you know what I'm saying, read your word in your scripture, and to be able to commune with the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Take time for yourself to form a healthy relationship, and stop worrying so much about everything else that, you know what I'm saying, that is outside of your control. Just know that, you know what I'm saying, faith is the working through the things that are unseen and just knowing that they shall be. It's just like you are alive today. You don't even know if you're going to, you know what I'm saying, eat something later on today, you know what I'm talking about, but yet you already have the faith that you know you're going to eat something. You know what I'm saying? You may have worked and might not be paid today, but you know that you're going to get paid soon. That type of faith, work that in a bigger, you know what I'm saying, in a bigger trajectory, in a bigger direction, you know what I'm talking about, and operating in the spiritual forms, right? So keep that in mind, you know what I'm saying, love on who loves you. Make sure that you are being loving, and, you know what I'm saying, know that, you know, that things happen, you know what I'm saying, and unfortunate things happen, and in the midst of those is whenever he is allowing us to be able to have a testimony for us to be able to help others that will end up eventually facing those situations and scenarios that we have made it from, regardless of how hard it hurts or how much it hurts. You know what I'm saying, it's all for his glory. So just be glad and gracious that, you know what I'm saying, you're able to be a part of something, because once you come out of that thing and you're able to use it for the glory, then he is going to show you, and you're going to feel so happy and, you know what I'm saying, edified by the glory that he shows you in your situation, because so many people will be saved, and knowing that he used you as a piece, as an instrument, as a weapon, you know what I'm talking about, as a tool to be able to repair and help restore those things that were once broken, is a high honor all in itself, right? So just know I love y'all. Know that the Most High loves y'all, you know what I'm saying? All praises to the Most High, all glory, all esteem, you know what I'm talking about, to my Abba, Yahweh, and my Saba, you know what I'm saying, Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus the Christ, you know what I'm talking about. And just make sure that, you know, that you be great. I'm proud of you. Each and every one of y'all, I'm proud of y'all. Continue to thrive, you know what I'm talking about, and know that you have the victory. Decree and declare it, and walk in your greatness, walk in your authority. Those who are taking baby steps, I'm glad that you keep that mustard seed faith, you know what I'm saying? So with that, I bid adieu. You know what I'm talking about, greater things over the horizon, and don't let nobody dim your light. In you is the light of 1,000 suns. Do not allow somebody to dim your light. Dimwits are the ones that condemn. So let the dimwits condemn and continue to shine, right? Shalom. Peace.